Is that how you got hooked up to YouTube through here?
No.
No? You can just go on?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our show. This is your host, Brother Benjamin Shabazz, and our very special guest, Sister Annie Green. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Before we get started into the show, we want to open up giving grace and appreciation and for the grace of asking Allah to bless our show. Please join me with a dua. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ameen.
Ameen.
So, this is a part 2 of a show that we did earlier, and it was based on a trip that you took to Africa. And what country did you go to?
Well, I went to Ghana, and as we were saying in another show, we went to 4 different regions, which was really a blessing, because you really don't have the opportunity to go to a country and be able to go, because Africa is such a huge continent, and you don't even realize how big just going to one part of it, and Ghana is huge too, and we went from the coast all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So that was really a blessing.
So you trying to tell me that Africa is not a country?
No, sir, it is not.
Well, what is Africa then?
Africa is a continent. You could put America in Africa, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. Of course, whenever you see it portrayed on movies or on the map itself, America always looks bigger than Africa, but that's not the case.
You mean it's about an optical illusion?
It is a huge optical. I mean, what is that alternative facts that we now are talking about?
Yeah. Fake news.
It's a serious fake news.
So somebody told me that you could put Europe, America. Now I don't know if they said China or not.
I don't know, but it's pretty big.
But you can put 3 or 4 major countries
inside
of
Africa.
Land masses inside of Africa.
Right. Yeah.
You know when I first seen that, in that movie, was The Boys in the Hood? Remember when the gentleman was a teacher? He was teaching his son.
His son? Yeah.
Yeah. What was that dude's name?
Oh God.
He played in a lot of movies.
Yeah. I
But
can't even think now.
Yeah, he had his son.
Fisher.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fisher. Yeah, Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
And he was teaching his son that Africa was shrunk when they put it on the map to make black people feel small. And the boy was in the classroom trying to tell the teacher that.
He didn't want to hear it.
And even the students didn't want to hear it.
Nobody.
Talking about you were African booty scratcher. Remember they got in the fight?
But here in America, that's part of the problem. They still teach our kids that Columbus discovered America. So what were the Native Americans? Who were they?
Mm-hmm.
And if you even look, if you look at this series of Hidden Colors, it tells that Africans actually helped to bring him here, and that we were here long before Caucasians were here. But we have now started to wake up and start looking at the fact that we are who America is, and we need to own that. We couldn't own our stuff because we were owned by other people, and all of the stuff that we contributed to America was confiscated by or picked up by other people, and they took the credit for it. I saw a thing on YouTube the other day, and this teacher was doing this handshake thing with the kids, and then they had this white teacher doing the same thing, and people will say, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, when people copy you, that is the best form of flattery. But flattery is one thing, but to own it is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So we don't mind people, copying us,
Yeah.
but we want to get the credit for what we've done.
Yeah.
And that's what we've never been able to do.
Yeah.
Is get the credit.
So, do you have some more pictures of your tour?
Yes, I do. It's amazing. You don't think you're a photographer but when you go someplace and you see so many amazing things, you end up taking way more pictures than you think. And because this was the first time that I went, I wanted to make sure I could capture as much as I can. So if I can share some more, I'd really be
Well, let's start it off then.
okay. Let's see what we got here. All right. Okay, this first picture now. I think when we left off, we were talking about the last bath,
Right.
which is something that happened to our ancestors. We had to walk miles, hundreds of miles, to get to here before we even went to the coast to be shipped to America. And this gentleman, you see, he has on a shirt. I was so happy to see him. He says Black Lives Matter, you know, even in Africa, because that's where that whole origin started. But one of the things that was really interesting to me is that he said, don't ever, I think this is when he was telling us that too, don't ever tell people that you're a slave. He said, because you weren't a slave, you're a captive. You were captured by somebody. You didn't come here because that's what you wanted to do. He said slaves in Africa are a whole different thing, you know, because when you came to America to be a slave, you never ever became anything else. You were just a slave, and you never had the opportunity to move into something else. Where in Africa you do, you know. But he said, don't tell people you're a slave, you're a captive. And so we got there, and so we go through these doors, and it takes you to they show you they had all these graphics about how you were chained and mugged and stuff. But the one thing that I can tell you, when you go to Africa, make sure your stamina's up, because for one thing, it's very hot, and you have to drink lots of water. And every place we went, you had to walk long distances. I mean, half an hour, 45 minutes to get to where we were going. And that's what this is. We were going through the jungles, pretty much. And so you go through this archive, and this is the last baths. And what was really interesting is that these are the ancestral baths that our ancestors actually bathed in. And when you bathed in the water, you can see the gold flecks in the water. Can you imagine? You're being washed in gold to be sent off to a land that you don't even know anything about. And so we had the opportunity to be able to do that, which was really a blessing. To be able to see where our ancestors, you know, were taken in these waters. Okay, this is kind of, we went through the countryside. Like I said, we went to 4 different regions, and you saw all kinds of houses and different things that, you know, one of the things that we saw a lot of houses that were half built and not really completed. So I was asking my guide, I said, well, why is that? It's because in Africa, getting a loan was not something that was, you know, it was very expensive to get a loan. So what people would do is that they built part of the house, and then they would get more money, and they build another part of the house. So you would see houses and stuff in different stages of building. Okay, when we got to One Africa, which was one of the resorts that we stayed at, that some of the people stayed at, we had an African greeting, and that's what they're doing. They're drumming and welcoming us to, I don't know what happened. Jeez, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what happened to our film there.
So tell us about that welcoming scene.
Okay, when you get there, you're welcomed. We were welcomed by the African nation, which was really, really, really nice to be able to do. Oh yeah.
What's happening?
Is the computer working?
No.
No, all the pictures went dead.
Yeah. it kind of went to a different place.
Yeah,
See,
can you
okay.
switch off the monitor onto something else?
Just keep talking. Just talk about your trip.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Keep talking. I'll try to fix it.
Okay. Thing is that once you got to One Africa, which is owned by an African American lady who's been in Africa for 30 years, she owns this property, and she said when she got there, her and her husband, they were welcomed by this king, and he was given. They were actually given this land. And they only had to pay like $400 for like it was like 3 or 4 acres, and on this property, when she got there, it was like only 3 trees, and now they have this resort where they have different huts and like little chalets that people can come and stay in, and it's right on the Atlantic Ocean. And the one thing that was really, really nice to be able to do is to be in this place and feel so free that you didn't have to worry about somebody coming, the police coming and telling you, oh, you got to leave. You know, you're making too much noise. And that was a real comforting feeling to be able to be someplace and feel like you were home, because that's how you felt.
So tell me about, did you actually go visit Armenia?
Elmina, the Elmina coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slave trades. Yeah, we did. We had the opportunity to be able to visit. Actually, we visited 2 different slaves dungeons, one on one side and another on the other side. But they basically were run by the Portuguese, and we thought that it was basically the Arabs. The Arabs came later, but it was the Portuguese and the Dutch. And it was really interesting because I found out, because my slave name, my father's slave name is Johnson, and the Johnsons and the Vanderpoels and the Johansons and stuff, they actually come from Dutch. So without us knowing, we actually were in a place that our family or our ancestors could have came through, which was Elmina Coast.
So now on Armenia, they have these dungeons, right?
Right.
Which are below churches, right?
Now that was really amazing. Is that all of the dungeons that our ancestors came through, above the dungeons were churches, and they would have their church up at the top, and then all the time they had our people at the bottom waiting to be shipped off to America or wherever, because everybody didn't end up in America, but most people did. So it was really kind of disheartening to know that people were worshiping God and at the same time enslaving people, you know. So there was one room that was really, really very hard to go through and that had a Skull and Bones. You know, Skull and Bones is a secret society here now. But that particular room had, that's where they put the people who were they called the unruly, or the people who were not, you know, conforming. And they would stuff them into this room. And when you went into that room, it was really so heartening because you could see the scratches on the walls. And in order these are brick walls. So in order for people's scratches from 400 years ago to still be there, you had to have, you know, dug right down to your bone, you know. So that was really very, very discouraging to see that kind of stuff, because they would put these people into the room, pack them in there, like 400 or 500 people in very small rooms.
So these were the people that they weren't going to take with them, or what?
These were the people who were what they called unruly, or the people who were resistant. So, you know, our people have always had, they, in slavery and in times as we came through slavery and stuff, they acted like we were so happy to be there. You know, nobody was happy to be in those circumstances. So what they said is that the people who actually made it to America were the strong ones. So they knew that they could, you know, do the work and stuff. And that's always been fascinating to me too, is that in America they've always called us lazy. So how could we be so lazy if we did all this work all this time? You know, I guess we didn't get really lazy until we decided we're not gonna to do it anymore. So, but the one thing about going back to Africa, and I encourage all of us to do, is that you see us, you see why we do the things that we do, the colors that we wear. I mean, it was so evident, you know, people with really bright colored clothing on. I mean, men and women. We had one of our guides, his name was Righteous, and he was from Nigeria. Righteous had on a different colorful outfit every single day. I mean, from the shoes to the pants to the tops, and he was decked every day. So it was just really nice to be able to see us in Africa, you know, and to be able to be able to touch those people and understand who we really are. And we think we have a drive for getting ahead. Nothing like in Africa. I mean, it was like overwhelming to a degree because they looked at us as like the money, you know, because we come over there and we bring money to support the communities and stuff. And they have all of these different, we went to the international market, and in the national market, they have just rows and rows of different items that you can buy that our people have made. I mean, the carvings, I bought masks that would have cost hundreds of dollars that you pay like $20 for, because $20 there is $80 because our money is 4 times the money there. So, but we went to wood carving places where they brought in the wood and they transform it from just a piece of wood to magnificent art to work. So we are very, very, very creative in, you know, the art and stuff. I bought some art that they made just out of string, you know. You know, and it's just amazing. It truly is amazing what we have been able to do. But when we got here, I guess we were just told we were not able to do anything, and that's not true.
Are any more pictures coming up? Let's see if you can hit a few pictures there.
I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, one of the things that was really interesting to me is that when you drove, see how lush and green everything is there? There was a lot of corn there, but you never saw corn on the menu. And they said that, I'm not sure where it came from, maybe the Portuguese or the Dutch brought it, but it's all across the countryside. It's just beautiful and lush there. But of course, then the houses are like this in some places because the villages are pretty sparse. But it's different. Everywhere you went, you just saw all kinds of different things. Oh, not that one. That was a swing that was at a restaurant.
So what kind of place is this here? This looks like a really nice...
It's a restaurant, actually, and they had different chalets on that particular. But a lot of the hotels and stuff they built that were like this. This was a restaurant. But this is Wali Falls. Now the falls, it took us about 45 minutes to walk through the jungles to get to this. And you see this fall, but right on the other side, you can't even see it, but right on the left-hand side of the fall, there are bats that are all the way up the side of the falls. But it just looks like a big black line when you get far away, but when you get closer, you can see they're all the way up the side of that falls. And you can see how beautiful it is here. It was breathtaking, so many places, and they don't tell you about these places.
So the big belly babies with the mother and the flies all around her, and she's trying to find some food. Where's that at?
I don't know. Now, you saw naked babies now, you know, in the villages in people's houses, but they weren't big belly babies, and nobody looked like they were starving to me, you know, because the one thing, you talk about free range chickens, oh yeah. I mean, we went to a gas station, and behind the gas station there was chickens running everywhere. Now this is a I don't know if that this is called Chances, and this was a chief, and we stayed at this resort. Now this is a shopping mall that he had. It was 3 stories. This shopping mall, but he didn't open it because he said the electricity is so expensive. And we asked him, I said, well, why don't you use solar? He said, because the solar actually is not good for your eyes. And he said, and so it doesn't get as hot as it is. And after you would think that people would use solar even more. He said, but no, he said, you don't get the energy that you actually should, like you do from electricity. But this shopping mall, and we went inside, it's 3 stories, and he had stuff in there. But he said, no, it was not worth it for him to even open it.
So what was that? What's that? Is that slate?
Granite?
Yeah.
That is everywhere. I mean, because when you ride through the mountains and stuff, you see it. And like I said, you can buy everything that you want in Africa on the streets because they don't have the shopping malls like we have here. Everything is done by barter. You know, when you go into the international market, if you say, oh, I don't have any money, you say, I take your shoes, we can trade for that, you know, and they trade for everything. This is part of Mr. Chance's resort too.
This is Africa?
This is Africa that we stayed at. Places that you would never think that you have the money to go stay in, this is where we stayed. It takes 3 gates, it's 3 gates to get into his property.
Is that a paved street?
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's my son. And he's taking pictures of, now there are houses behind his resort up on that mountain. He said one of the houses was owned by a Dutchman, but not, only reason why he was able to get in there because he was married to an African woman. But that's the bus that we traveled all through the country on. No, trying to get out of that. But these are the kinds of things that you see, you know, that you never thought you'd be able to see. But because they only show us the things that they want us to see.
Who is the they?
You know, white America. You know, white America shows us the things that they think we ought to see. And I'm going to tell you right now, in order for you to really understand what Africa is about, you have to go. You know, you have to go. We have to go and experience it. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to believe the things that people tell us.
The hype, huh?
Serious hype.
So what's the cost to go over there?
Well, this particular trip was really very, very economical because it was like $3,500, and that included your plane trip, your hotel, 2 meals a day, and all your travel all across these 4 different regions. And people say, oh, only two meals? Trust me, it's so hot you don't want to eat all the time. And you have so many things that you're looking at until.
So what kind of group did you go with?
It was all African American, you know, from different parts of the country. A lot of people were from Atlanta. There was myself and my son from Seattle, and then there was a family of a wife and husband and their youngest son, and then his brother and his cousin. So that was 5 in one group.
What was the name of the group? The company, right?
Oh, it was Africans for Africa for African Americans.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you can look that up. Then.
Yes, it's on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a very good it's a good deal.
Africa
for African Americans.
Yeah, that amount of money sounds very reasonable.
It was very reasonable, you know, and you spend. The thing is that what people have to remember is that, okay, make sure you have your passport. And I suggest people get one because it might be harder to get them as time goes by. And it's like $100 for your passport. Then you have to get a visa, and that's That's $100. And what you do when you get a visa is that you apply through Ghana in Washington D.C. You send your passport, which was kind of scary. I say, oh, you send your passport to Washington, and then they send it back, and they give you either. It used to be longer, but now our passport is good for 2 years for Ghana. It used to be up to 5 years, but they've shortened it. But America is in charge of how long. In fact, our tour guide, he's from Ghana, and he's applied 3 different times, $150 each time, and they've denied him every single time. And so America has very big controls over who comes in and who doesn't. So
Wow.
we're very blessed. We don't know, the kind of things that other people have to go through.
You know, there was a time when black people were not allowed to go outside the country.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a time.
Well, it may come again, so you better get your passport.
But
Okay.
that would eliminate anybody telling stories about what's happening outside the U.S.
That's true. I mean, that's the thing about stories. People can tell you whatever they want to if you know no different.
That's why they call them a tale.
Yeah, big tall tale. So I suggest if you want to really know the truth, you go find out for yourself. What did it say? Iqra, you should read and find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First thing Allah revealed to Prophet Muhammad, read.
Read.
Iqra.
That's what they told us, that we as African Americans, you want to hide something, put it in the book.
Put it in the book.
Not true. It's not true. So
Well, Sister Annie Green, we thank you for sharing, and we hope that sometime in the future you have more things you want to share with us. You'll come out to the studio and share them with us, because these are things people need to know.
each one teach one.
And it's good to have somebody that you know to be able to come and explain these things,
That's true.
especially for the next generation.
Especially for the next generation. We got to make sure our children know that it's a big world out there and we have to go see it.
So, Sister Annie Green, for our TV viewing audience, don't forget to look us up on YouTube. This show will be on YouTube. And we want to thank you for watching and continue to have a good day.